Going to keep the high school basketball conversation going as we welcome in Kevin Minnick of NJ Advance Media. Check out all his stuff on NJ.com. Good morning, Kev.
Hey, good morning, Sully.
Josh and I were just trying to figure out the confusing history of the Charlotte Hornets.
Yeah, it's bounced around a little bit. It stayed in Charlotte.
Bobcats, Hornets, Pelicans. I don't know what's going on with all these teams. Whoop, we lost him? Uh-oh. What are you doing? Kicking wires over there, Josh? All right. We're going to get Kevin back on here in just a minute. We got some crazy technical things. I think Josh might have kicked a plug or something over there. All right, hang on here just a minute as we get Kevin back on. You all set?
Hey, well, I thought you guys got your phones fixed.
We did. I heard a weird noise, and then all of a sudden you were gone. So I don't know what Josh is doing over there.
Oh man, I don't. Where's Nick?
He's he's out covering some college wrestling.
Oh well, that's all right. But I think what we were saying, you were talking about. You briefly talked about the Charlotte Hornets.
I was confused because I wasn't sure if it was like the Browns situation, Browns, Ravens, and then the Browns again, and what really is the original team. And
the Hornets I'm pretty certain that it was the Hornets was the original team, and then they changed to the Bobcats.
Well, Josh is saying that like if there was a team record from the '90s and the Hornets, it's now a Pelicans record.
Well, because what happened was the Hornets moved to New Orleans, but then temporarily went to OKC because the Hurricane Katrina went back to New Orleans. But then the Bobcats were an expansion franchise reestablished in Charlotte, and then when New Orleans went to Pelicans, the Charlotte team applied to become the Hornets again.
Huh. Okay.
If you say so. That's some good knowledge there. If in fact that is the case, and I'm not going to doubt you.
So the current Hornets are essentially the expansion Bobcats.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm glad we got that cleared up.
Hey, it's the week between the Super Bowl and the championship games. We gotta dig for something to talk about here.
Nah, we got plenty to talk about, Sal.
That's true, man.
Plenty out there.
Yeah, we got the Jeff Coney Classic going on at RV. Is that today and tomorrow, or just today?
Just today. They use both gyms at RV, and it starts at 11 o'clock. And it starts with Ewing playing Cherry Hill East at 11, and it'll run all the way through. Last game will be Atlantic City and Haddonfield, and that game will start approximately 7:15 in the main gym and wrap things up. So I would say by if everything runs on schedule, which it usually does, if you get there by 10:30, you can sit there all day long and you can be home by 10:30 tonight. So it's it's a great day of basketball. There's plenty of games. I believe there's a dozen altogether, and Jay Flanagan does a real nice job with this year after year. And everybody, it's the one weekend. It takes over this weekend every year, and everybody kind of wants to get in it. So he's got some nice matchups this season. There's some there's some quality games in here, and it makes for a great day of high school basketball because you can float between both gyms and see what you want to see and have some lunch and enjoy the afternoon while it's too cold to be outside.
How many hours are you going to log up there today, Kev?
My goal is to shoot to be there by noon, and I will probably be there pretty much through I'm guessing I'll probably be there through the rest of the duration. So I'll probably be there I would say I'd be there a good 7 or 8 hours.
Got a full day ahead of you then. What are some of the highlights? Some of the matchups you mentioned a couple of them already. What are some other teams going to be involved in that fans can get excited about?
If people want to get moving right now, I think the 11:30 game is pretty interesting with Willingboro and Millville. Willingboro is a Group 1, Group 2 school. I off the top of my head, I don't remember their classification for basketball, but they're taking on. They're playing pretty well lately. I think they've won 6 or 7 in a row. They've got one of the state's top sophomores in Marcus Randolph, a real nice 6'4" guard. And Millville comes in, with an opportunity to continue to kind of continue to maintain some momentum. Coming off of that St. Augustine loss, they picked things up the last couple of games. So that's an interesting matchup. I think at 11:30, that'll be the first game in the main gym at RV. And if you kind of just glance down the schedule a little bit, St. Augustine takes on Bordentown at 1 o'clock. I think St. Augustine has kind of picked itself up a little bit and is playing a lot better than it had been just a couple of weeks ago. You got a couple of top 20 teams in the state will be playing today too. Paul VI, like I said, will be taking on Bordentown, number 17 in the state, and I think what the marquee game probably is when you look at the slate right now will be the Wildwood Catholic and Cherokee. Wildwood Catholic being number 13 right now in our state rankings, and it's been there, in the rankings all season. And then you end the night ends with Haddonfield, who comes in at number 20, taking on an Atlantic City team, like Mike McGarry said, that seems to be picking up a little bit of steam right now. So there's some individuals in here that'll be playing in here. You got Butler-bound guard Khalif Battle playing for Trenton Catholic. They'll take on Bishop Eustace about 5:45, and a kid who's really come on strong. He's had a pretty decent season going as it was, but I think in the last couple games he's really stepped on the pedal. Is Ryan Ems from Eastern, about a 6'6" forward heading to the University of Scranton. They'll be taking on Sterling in the last game in the back gym tonight about 6:45 or so. And I saw Ryan Ems drop 41 on Cherry Hill East and grab 17 rebounds on Tuesday. So that kid's really playing extremely well right now for Eastern, and that's a team that you got to keep your eye on when it comes to Group 4. So, like I said, all day long, good games, talented players, and just a great opportunity to support a very good cause.
Talk with Kevin Minnick of NJ Advance Media. Check out all his stuff on NJ.com. And Kevin, how does Cherokee match up with Wildwood Catholic? I haven't seen Cherokee yet this year. Got a little bit of a chance to see Wildwood Catholic against Pleasantville, and man, they're a tough matchup for anybody. They got Deshaun Lopez now is active, coming off the 30-day sit-out period. He's an outstanding young guard, and Taj Sweet, obviously one of the best players in the state. I mean, this kid is just he's really dominating the Cape Atlantic League right now.
Yeah, on paper, it looks like a mismatch in Wildwood Catholic's favor, simply based on the size factor. Cherokee is essentially a team of guards. They don't really have they don't have anyone that can match up with Taj Sweet. Most teams don't have someone, until you get to the upper tier type of teams in the state and then South Jersey. But Cherokee is a team that's not going to back down. They're going to play solid defense, and they're probably going to not make mistakes to hurt themselves. But if Wildwood Catholic can get the ball inside to Taj, inside to Jalil, I think they'll be in good shape. Taj Sweet is obviously emerged as a player who's no longer, in my opinion, a kid who's playing on potential. I think we're finally seeing that potential rise to the top, and he's taking over games, and he's doing things that a lot of people, expect to see out of a Division I recruit. So, I think if Wildwood, plays its cards right and does what it has been doing, Taj can probably have himself another pretty big game. But like I said, Cherokee's not going to beat itself. They're going to try to take some time off the clock. I would think they're going to try to work it for a good shot. And if they can get Wildwood Catholic in foul trouble, it could be anybody's game. But I think right now on paper, Wildwood Catholic would probably be the team to beat.
Kevin, it's always amazing to me when you see these high school kids who are juniors and look like they're already ready for college. I mean, this kid is just so athletic. When I was a high school junior, I think I was 5'6", 150. So it must be amazing to be that age, 16, 17 years old, and already be kind of almost into your man body. I mean, this kid is really matured physically for that age group.
Yeah, you don't see that very often at all, to be honest with you. But when you do see it, you clearly notice it, and you clearly get a good understanding of where this particular kid could be going. And there's not many out there. And we talk about Division I athletes, and there's obviously there's various levels of Division I, and Taj is kind of in that like you said, in that level where he's in the upper tier of Division One. And now is he a player that can go to a Kentucky or a Duke or a Maryland, your upper level D1s? I don't know right now, but he's certainly making his way towards that level. And obviously we're looking at a kid who's probably, 16, 17 years old right now, and he's got another year of high school left. So he's going to get better. He potentially could get bigger. And obviously I think he's going to get stronger. And once he gets to the college level, he'll get onto a weight program and a fitness program at a college that would probably put 10 or 15 pounds more on him and really make him a dominating figure. So, yeah, it's you don't get to see that type of an athlete at the high school level very often, but when you do, you certainly notice it.
Yeah, it was funny. They really dominated the Patrick School at the Seagull Classic. Obviously, Patrick School had played the night before, but Taj and Jaleel White just really dominated that game, and right after the game got full scholarship offers from Monmouth, like, hey, yeah, come to Monmouth. We're ready for you right now. So shows you what kind of talent those guys are. They can make one impression on a coach and get a scholarship offer, within hours.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the way it is now, and especially for schools that are in the vicinity. So, I know J.R. Reed, a former North Carolina player, knows King Rice pretty well, and he was in the gym watching Taj and Jaleel play against St. Joe a week or so ago. So, yeah, Taj, Taj Thweatt more than Jaleel, but Jaleel, I think, right with him. You're going to see some people in the gym, and you're going to say, I've seen that guy from somewhere. I know that guy from somewhere. And it's going to be a major college coach or an assistant or a former player checking these guys out because, these kids have rose to the top, and they're the best around. So, they're going to be after him. And obviously these two kids at Wildwood Catholic, as far as South Jersey's concerned right now, I think are at the top of the list.
It must be frustrating, Kev, for some of these smaller Division I schools that go out and recruit these guys hard and make offers when they're sophomores or whatever, knowing that in a year's time, we're going to have no shot at this kid.
Well, they have to do that, and it's the process, and it's the job, and you got to get out there and let some people know, you're interested. And there's times when scholarship offers are pulled, and there's times when schools back out, and if you get an early commitment from someone, that might take a slot away. So you get these colleges are out there that I think it's they've always been there, but I think in this day and age they're a lot more visible when they can be, and they want to let these kids know that, look, you can get your education paid for, which is honestly it should be the number one thing, because 99.5 out of 100 of these kids are not destined for the NBA. So you got to get that education paid for. Hey, if that can get taken care of, and it's relatively close to home, and mom and dad and your aunts and uncles and friends can see you play, and and you're getting that education, hey, maybe Monmouth is the place for you. So that's why you got to kind of keep your options open. I think in some cases, obviously, kids are a little bit more clear cut for a higher level. But for the most part, kids say, oh, I want to go D1. I want to go D1. Well, I think a lot of people think, well, D1 must mean he wants to go to Duke or he wants to play at the SEC. Well, sometimes D1 can mean playing at St. Joe's in Philly, or it can mean going to Monmouth, or it can mean going to a Rider, to someplace. The number one thing I think a lot of people miss the boat on is the fact that, it's about getting your education paid for. And believe me, education is not cheap. So
yeah, all about that, right?
So if you can get your education paid for, you take care of business. Maybe the NBA, like I said, the NBA, you kind of really have a clear-cut idea of who the guys are that are destined for the NBA. A kid like a Brian Antoine or a Scotty Lewis at the Ranney School, even a kid like a Naz Reed last year for Roselle Catholic. But then there's you can get a lot done at Division I level at a lower school, And there's a lot of places overseas that are playing, professional basketball that may have an opportunity as well. So just because you're D1 doesn't mean you have to be you're an ESPN three game a week guy. But like I said, the education, I think, is the biggest part.
Talk with Kevin Minnick of NJ-Advance Media. Check out all his stuff on NJ.com. And Kevin, I wrote a feature story a couple of years ago as sort of coming into a golden age of baseball in South Jersey. And I think we're kind of in a little bit of that in throughout all the sports. When you look at all these college recruits, I mean, Brielle Smith from Oakcrest just signed with Stanford for track. Destin Lasco, great swimmer from Mainland, he just verbally committed to University of California. You obviously have Kylie Watson out there getting recruited by all the top schools in the nation for girls basketball. So I think college recruiters are starting to understand that you might want to spend a little bit of time in South Jersey.
Yeah, South Jersey, I think probably for the longest time may have been if anything, probably a football situation. As far as girls sports, maybe, I don't know, off the top of my head, I want to say probably leaning towards field hockey. But there's kids all over the place in South Jersey and throughout the state that are doing some amazing things. And you get the technological advances nowadays. You can, 10 years ago you couldn't videotape a high flying dunk or a race or any particular thing on a phone and
right.
basically put it out there for the world to see. Nowadays, kids are doing things and they're working out and they're going to training facilities and they're videotaping things and they're putting it out. They're putting it out there, and these schools can see it. And you're not making direct contact with a college, but in a way you kind of are, because you can sit in a training facility and show somebody you can throw a 95-mile-an-hour fastball, and you can put that out and you can tag it, and people are going to see it. And the video has gone a long way in opening eyes and showing things. I mean, I know Mike Daniels, the lineman on the Green Bay Packers, did not have a college offer until he sent a DVD to the University of Iowa, and boom, they watched the DVD and offered him. Didn't even see him play. They offered him a scholarship, and obviously he's done very well for himself. So I think technology is going a long way, and these kids out here are putting in the time and effort, and colleges are taking notice. And what it comes down to, I think, with a lot of colleges is if you're not paying attention, you're not doing your job. So a lot more interest, a lot more schools out there, than maybe schools that you've probably never heard of, or schools from different parts of the country, giving these kids the opportunities. And, I think, these kids in South Jersey are really taking advantage of that situation.
And, Kev, before we let you go, obviously it's guys like yourself, Matt Stanmeyer, Mark Tribble when he was at the Courier-Post, Mike McGarry at the Press of Atlantic City, doing so much for these high school kids and getting them exposure. And it's been fun for me the last 5 or 6 years to see all these great teams and athletes and be a part of it. I mean, I know you feel the same way. You weren't sure what was going to happen when you got laid off from the Courier-Post, but now you're at NJ.com and able to use your talents to really bring this whole South Jersey sports community together and keep them interested throughout the sports seasons. And really, it is a great job to have to be able to spend some time with these coaches. I mean, these coaches work tirelessly after teaching all day to make their teams better, and it's really been it's been a fun thing for me the last couple of years, and I know for yourself, you probably feel the same way.
Yeah, I've been doing this for more than 30 years now, and my objective, it's never. My objective was never to be to create the news. That's not my job. This job has never been about me. It's always been about the kids, and my number one thing was always that there's so many kids out there, and everybody has a story, and it's just waiting to be told, and that's kind of my job. And people think it's just high school sports, and it's not that big a deal. Wait till they get to college or the pros, and it starts. This is where it starts for most kids. It's the high school level, it's the varsity level, and like I said, I'm just here to tell their story, and there's lots of stories to be told, and it's the it's the power of local journalism, because you're not going to hear about, for the most part, you're not going to hear about Taj Thweet. You're not going to hear about the swimmer at Mainland. You're not going to hear about the baseball player at Cherokee or any school unless you have that local journalist doing his job. You're not going to get it. It's not going to be on CNN. It's not going to be on ESPN. It's got to start somewhere, and it starts really, and it starts and ends at the local level. So, from what I've heard from different people in different parts of the country that I know as well, that, they don't get the same level of coverage and, passion, I guess, is a good word for the people that cover high school sports in other states. New Jersey, I think, if you look around different places in the country, New Jersey gets extremely large amount of coverage of its high school sports, and obviously that's done by a numerous number of outlets. But like I said, it starts at the high school level. It's about being passionate about your job. It's about telling stories, because it's not going to happen elsewhere. So, like I continue to tell people that support, you continue to support local journalism at every level. Just because you live in Atlantic City doesn't mean you can't look at NJ.com. Do I expect you to not look at the AC Press? No, I expect you to do that. But you know what? Take advantage of all the different ones. Take advantage of your site. Take advantage of my site. Take advantage of everybody out there whose job it is to highlight high school sports. This is our job, the same as everyone else's job is, whether they work at the Wawa, whether they're a lawyer, whether they're a doctor. That's their chosen profession. This is our chosen profession, and we tackle it with the passion and the desire that the same way that everyone else should be going about their job. So, like I said, local journalism, it's taken a hit in recent years, but it's something that people really, really need if they want to continue to see this type of coverage basically on a daily basis.
Great stuff. As always, Kev, we appreciate it, man. Keep up the good hard work, and we'll be checking in with you next weekend. Still a lot more to talk about as we get into really crunch time in high school basketball as February gets started next weekend.
Absolutely, and as always, I look forward to it every week, Sully.
You got it, man. Thanks for taking a few minutes, bud.
No problem. Have a great day.
That was Kevin Minnick of NJ Advance Media.